I'm a lot like a composer. A composer has a blank piece of paper, no instructions. I've got a big pile of wood, and the only instructions I get is what I get from the musician who's saying, what I really need is this, that, or the other thing. I'm a luthier, and, or as the French would say, luthier, and that comes from an ancient French word for a lute maker. And in the modern era, it's come to denote anyone who makes string musical instruments such as violins or guitars. From a technical standpoint, the most difficult thing on the instrument is listening to what the musician really needs. And knowing what the musician wants. Then I can go to my piles of wood and pull out exactly the piece of wood I need to get that sound. The guitar is not a woodworking problem, it's a musical problem. I believe as a player, I have a very deep connection to the instrument musically and a very deep understanding, and I'm on a very sympathetic wavelength with all the musicians when they come to me and tell me what it is they want as a tool. I've been blessed with being, asked to make instruments for some of the most famous classical and flamenco players in the world. Andres Segovia had 2 of my guitars. A very famous Romero family, huge dynasty of guitarists, great quartet. They really defined the guitar quartet. I have right now a 3.5-year waiting list. My instruments range, for my least expensive model is $6,500 and they go up to $15,000. My grand plan was that I was going to be a player, but when it got to the point where I had people I didn't know pounding on my door asking for instruments, I realized that, I was going to be making a better living making them than I was playing them. From a technical standpoint, the most difficult thing on the instrument is listening to what the musician really needs. The true satisfaction is in knowing that those musicians who were in the same position I was in when I couldn't find a decent guitar are now sitting there saying, yeah, I've got my great tool, I love this instrument, and they won't give it up for anything.
Leaks a lot of oil and burns a lot of gas, but it's great fun.
For Ray Fowler.
This is quite a passion of mine, so every chance I get to come out and fly old airplanes, I try to do it.
It was one of this nation's most famous combat aircraft. It was used for bold daylight bomb runs over Germany in World War II.
This airplane is a little more muscle to fly it, a very heavy airplane. This airplane makes you do all the work.
Pilot Ray Fowler moved the throttles forward and 4 1,200 horsepower engines roared as the 59-year-old Flying Fortress took command of the skies over the Fox River Valley. Its pilot, a little over half the age of his airplane.
Fly for the Guard, so part-time, so when we get activated we go do our thing, but I'd much rather be here flying a B-17.
You couldn't help but wonder what it was like for the young, brave men who loaded the bombs, manned the radios and Browning machine guns, and flew the missions that made such a difference in the outcome of World War II.
This airplane, the only thing that took it out of combat is just technology. It's such a well-built airplane, and there's such a trade-off for when you build a military airplane and where you have to give up something. Well, this one they gave up nothing. It's very stable, very safe, and of course they gave it to 19-year-old kids to go off to fight the war. So probably the most famous airplane that people would recognize is the B-17.
The view was nothing short of spectacular. It was a proud and gentle bird that lined up to land. And it was a landing many pilots dream of. Jim Tillman, CBS 2 News.